Welcome to This Week in Taiwan. I'm Iris Xu. Every Saturday, we break down the biggest stories making headlines across the country. From politics and policy to culture and the unexpected. Whether you are tuning in from Taipei or halfway around the world, we've got you covered with what you need to know to stay in the loop. Taiwan is home to 23 million people, and you might think what happens on this small island doesn't affect you. But in reality, it is quite the contrary. From geopolitics to global supply chains, Taiwan is more connected to your life than you might expect. So let's get into this week's news and see just how interconnected we really are. President Lai Ching-te gave an address on Monday at the annual Overseas Community Affairs Council meeting in Taipei. In his speech, Lai reiterated that Taiwan cannot achieve peace by accepting either the 1992 consensus or the One China principle. President Lai spoke about a variety of subjects at the OCAC meeting, beginning with explaining the situation in Yunlin, Jiayi, and Hualien after consecutive typhoons, including post-disaster recovery progress and the central government's assistance. He also discussed economic development, emphasizing Taiwan's continued growth. He said Taiwan's stock market has seen a 155% surge, with economic growth set to outperform that of the other four Asian tigers, even surpassing that of China, Europe, and the US, citing an Asian Development Bank forecast. Lai then moved on to national defense and security, reiterating that one can have ideas about peace but not illusions. He said that Taiwan can neither achieve peace through a simple agreement nor by accepting the aggressor's conditions.
Following the 1992 consensus, which claims that accepting the One China principle will lead to peace, is simply impossible.
He pointed out that during former President Ma Ying-jeou's tenure, China continued to build its military despite Taiwan's own reduced defense budgets, resulting in now so-called peace dividend. To that end, Lai says Taiwan's defense budget will increase to 3.32% of GDP next year, in line with the goal of 5% by 2030. The goal of this spending is not only national security, Lai says, but national defense independence, which is integral to both industrial and economic development. This investment will help further Taiwan's international cooperation and secure a place in the global defense industry ecosystem. Kuomintang or KMT politician Cheng Li-wun was elected party chair on Saturday with a majority of votes. And Chinese Communist Party President Xi Jin-ping sent her a congratulatory message the next day. In her reply, Cheng Li-wun thanked Xi Jin-ping and reaffirmed that the two parties would strengthen exchanges and cooperation based on the 1992 consensus in opposition to Taiwan independence. Premier Zhou Rongtai said Tuesday he hopes Cheng will uphold the sovereignty of the Republic of China during any meeting with Xi. Speaking ahead of a legislative policy session, Zhou told reporters that as long as cross-strait activities comply with the law, the government will not interfere. However, he said, any such meeting should ensure that Taiwan's freedom and democratic way of life are not compromised.
If the future KMT chair Cheng has the opportunity, I hope she can stand firm on the principle that the sovereignty of the Republic of China must not be violated or taken away, and that Taiwan's free and democratic way of life must not be altered. Under this premise, if she can meet with Chinese Communist Party President Xi, I would look forward to her demonstrating the same strength she showed in winning against the 5 other KMT chairmanship candidates so that both sides can engage in healthy and orderly exchanges. We will view that positively.
Xi's message called on the KMT and the CCP to work together to, quote, enhance the spirit, strength, and confidence of the Chinese people and advance national unification. Zheng reiterated that both sides of the Taiwan Strait belong to the Chinese nation and said exchanges and cooperation under the 1992 consensus should continue to preserve peace in the Taiwan Strait. Mainland Affairs Council Minister Chiu Cui-jung said the 1992 consensus has long been redefined by Beijing, which, since 2019, has tied it to the One China principle and the One Country, Two Systems framework, aimed at eliminating the Republic of China. He urged the public to stand united in defending sovereignty, dignity, and democracy, while maintaining a willingness for dialogue under the principles of equality and mutual respect. Taiwan confirmed its first case of African swine fever, or ASF, after a pig carcass sample sent from Taichung on Tuesday tested positive for the virus. President Lai Ching-te said the government has immediately established a control zone and activated emergency response measures, emphasizing that disease prevention is like warfare and that the government will be on full alert and respond proactively. Starting from noon on Wednesday, authorities imposed a 5-day nationwide ban on the transport and slaughter of pigs, as well as a total ban on the use of kitchen waste as animal feed as part of the 7 top-tier containment measures designed to stop the virus from spreading. Officials said the restrictions could be extended depending on how the situation develops, and that the Agriculture Ministry would release refrigerated and frozen pork from reserves to stabilize supply. Department of Animal Industry Director Li Yi-tian guarantees that existing stocks at meat markets and cold storage facilities are sufficient to meet domestic demand for at least a month, meaning the 5-day ban should not affect consumers. Deputy Agriculture Minister Du Wen-chun said Taiwan has now suspended all pork exports as a responsible exporter until the situation is fully clarified. Taiwan was certified by the World Organization for Animal Health as free from major swine diseases. As of the end of September, Taiwan had exported more than 250 metric tons of fresh and frozen pork. In a statement posted on Facebook, President Lai Ching-te reassured the public that ASF is not transmissible to humans and urged citizens not to panic. He said the government had set up a command center in Taichung headed by Deputy Agriculture Minister Du to coordinate on-site containment efforts and ensure food supply stability. Lai also called on local governments, livestock associations, and pig farmers to stay vigilant and report any abnormal death or suspected infections immediately. The U.S. Senate Committee on Foreign Relations on Wednesday passed 4 Taiwan-related bills, including the Porcupine Act, aimed at expediting arms transfers to Taiwan and granting it treatment equivalent to NATO allies. Senator Chris Coons says he hopes the bill could pass the full Senate quickly using the hotline procedure. The committee approved 17 bills by voice vote, including the Porcupine Act, the Deter PRC Aggression Against Taiwan Act to Defend Taiwan, the U.S.-Taiwan Partnership in the Americas Act, and the Taiwan International Solidarity Act. Coons, a Democrat, told the Central News Agency that the meeting was the most productive in years. Coons said the bills will be forwarded to the full Senate, where leaders may schedule a vote using the hotline process or attach the measures to other legislation for expedited passage. Under Senate practice, if no senator objects during informal consultations, a bill can be approved by unanimous consent without formal debate. The bipartisan Porcupine Act, co-sponsored by Coons and Republican Senator Pete Ricketts after their April visit to Taiwan, simplifies arms sales procedures governed by the U.S. Arms Export Control Act. It will shorten congressional notification times and raise the monetary threshold, giving Taiwan the same treatment as NATO and NATO Plus members such as Japan, Australia, South Korea, and Israel. Other bills will strengthen U.S. deterrence against a Chinese invasion and support Taiwan's diplomatic partners in Latin America. The
The 20th Central Committee of the Communist Party of China, CPC, held its fourth plenary session in Beijing on Monday. One of the key focuses of the meeting was reviewing the 15th five-year plan from 2026 to 2030, often indicative of China's upcoming economic and political direction. The BBC noted the increased international attention the meeting has received, which analysts say is due to Beijing facing severe economic challenges and needing to adjust policy direction to stabilize itself. City University of New York political science professor Ming Xia says that the CCP has gradually integrated into the economy, political security framework, and ideological control since Xi Jinping came to power. He says the economy serves the party's highest goals and that the 15th five-year plan is the first under Xi's leadership to fully control the Chinese economy. According to official Chinese data, the Consumer Price Index and Producer Price Index have continued to decline, indicating intensifying deflationary pressures. Stanford Center senior research scholar Chen Gangshu says this is an extremely serious economic crisis that will further lead to insufficient domestic demand. Xia says he believes Xi will use the plan to establish greater control over politics and the economy as he grows anxious, facing the economic slowdown and geopolitical pressure. Strategically, China may focus on defense, aerospace, and semiconductors, he predicted. China's economic policies have largely been led by former Premier Li Keqiang, who favored a market-driven economy, Xia explains. He predicts the policy will shift toward a mixed economic model, with the private sector gradually being integrated into the state-owned system, significantly increasing the state's control over the overall economic structure. Xu underlines that the root cause of the problem lies in insufficient demand, warning that if China continues to directly invest into high-tech sectors, it may not help stimulate economic growth, but instead exacerbate the issue. Tristan Hildebrand for RTI News.
Thank you for tuning in. That's it for This Week in Taiwan. My name is Irish. Until next week.